We are now in the middle of a very special period in time. It's known as the PPPPP, Post-Purim, Pre-Pesach period. Whilst the men are now all sobering up after a somewhat cheery Purim, the women go into overdrive panic as they start getting themselves ready for Pesach and starting the mass cleanup program. But there is something else that makes this time so special as well. In Code of Jewish law, it is typically referred to as Be'in Geula LeGeula, between one redemption and another redemption. In other words, Purim is a time of great celebration. After all, for the Jewish people, we were spared from the terrible decree of Haman. Pesach is also a time of great celebration for the Jewish people when we were spared from the evil clutches of Pharaoh, the then king of Egypt. There is, however, a very important difference between these two types of salvations which the Jewish people experienced. On Purim, the wicked Haman had only one plan in mind. He wanted to exterminate the entire Jewish race. He wanted to destroy the Jewish people such that there would be nobody left, men, women, and children. And therefore, God brought about the salvation in a more natural way. In other words, inasmuch as the Purim threat was a very real physical threat, God chose to bring about the redemption in a very real and physical way. And what seemed like a whole string of different coincidences that the Jewish people were experiencing, ultimately we were spared. A drunken king went ahead and killed his wife. He then searched for the most beautiful girl in the land. And ultimately, it turned out to be somebody Jewish. It was Esther. And of course, she rises to a position of power. And that enables the overturn of Haman's nasty plot. On Pesach, Pharaoh was not so concerned with the killing of the Jewish people. He was keener in actually making them become part of Egyptian culture. He was keen to assimilate them amongst his own people. And therefore, in this instance, the threat was much more a spiritual one. God, therefore, responds by suspending the natural order, using supernatural means to bring about their redemption. There were the 10 plagues, there was the splitting of the sea, and so on and so forth. The idea of celebrating these two events so close together is to teach us a very important lesson in life. There is a passage from King Solomon in Song of Psalms that says, he is looking through the windows, peering through the lattice. God is certainly always watching over us. Sometimes he's looking through the window where we can see him just as he can see us. Other times, he's peering through the lattice. By definition, he's still watching over us even as we may not be able to see him. On Purim, it was a case of God seeing us even though we may not have recognized him through all the different so-called coincidences that were transpiring in the natural order. On Pesach, on the other hand, we certainly saw the hand of God just as he was watching over us. And the closeness of these two episodes, the proximity of Purim to Pesach, redemption to redemption, is to teach us how we should be aware that God is always every bit present in our lives. Sometimes it will be more obvious, other times less so, but we should never lose heart. And I share this with you now, particularly in the face of world panic, as we consider our vulnerability as the whole world quite literally is caught in the grip of a pandemic. It might sound naive to some, to others it might indeed sound fundamentalist, but let's not forget about God knowing, as we do, that he doesn't forget about us. I can't tell you why this is happening. I can tell you that we need to do everything, of course, within our own power and ability to deal with the situation. And all I'm saying is, as per what King David said in Psalms, behold, the keeper of Israel never sleeps nor slumbers. Stay safe, be smart, and remember, it never hurts to say a little prayer. May we all know the end of this, please God, real soon. Shabbat Shalom.